So a couple of days ago, my parents hosted a graduation party for me because I'm done with high school now. And I had been looking for it for quite a while because I'm leaving for college in a few weeks. So this was kind of going to double as a farewell party as well. I was quite excited for it, but my sister ruined everything, and now she has the audacity to play the victim in this whole situation, which I think is incredibly unfair. And the worst part is that even my parents think that I do owe her a bit of an apology simply because I revealed the truth about her marriage, which, in my opinion, is a total sham. And I will explain my reasons as well, and trust me, when I'm done telling you guys the whole thing, you guys will know exactly why I'm saying all these things about her. So basically, my sister and I are 4 years apart. I'm 18, and she's 22, and she got married to her high school boyfriend 2 years ago. They had been together since their sophomore year of high school. And after a short engagement, they decided to get married, and I was quite happy for her. But at the same time, even at 16, I knew that she was risking her future by making a decision like this. I knew that my parents were also not entirely happy, but we decided to support her because she was happy. And that's all that matters. And after all, she was an adult. So she was free to choose what she wanted for herself. We did try to advise her, but in the end, she did whatever she wanted to. The only reason we didn't want her to get married so soon was because she had declared that because she was getting married, she did not have time for college. And she was going to be a stay-at-home wife. Her husband, my brother-in-law, had also decided to skip college and had directly started working in his father's company after he graduated. He had already been working for his dad part-time when he was in high school. It just turned into a full-time job after graduation. And he was going to inherit the company anyway, so he was going to be groomed to take over. And my sister thought that she had nothing to worry about because in the end, her future was secure because she was marrying a man who had a company he was going to inherit it. So she didn't need to do anything. My parents and I tried to explain to her that while it was good that she trusted him so much, it was still important to get a degree at the very least, so she could get a job in the future if she ever needed it, just in case. But when we tried to explain this to her, she told us that we were being paranoid, and she accused us of trying to meddle in her relationship unnecessarily and made it very clear that she was not happy with our advice. She obviously thought that we were overthinking things, and she basically told us that he was never going to leave her, and she was confident about it, so we should just drop all of it. And we did not want to create drama out of nothing, so we didn't speak about it much. But even then, in the weeks leading up to her wedding, after this particular discussion, it was clear that she was still kind of upset with us because she had distanced herself from her own family. So, since then, even though we had been close growing up, my sister and I started growing apart. In the past 2 years, especially after she got married, she and I have hardly had any contact beyond the usual greetings when she visits occasionally, and the birthday wishes and season's greetings. With my parents, I guess she was able to retain a normal relationship, but with me, I don't know. We were just never the same again after I tried to tell her that I did not think it was that good of an idea for her to skip college and sit at home and do nothing after she got married, especially because she was quite young. I never tried to bring it up again either because personally, I don't think that I did anything wrong by saying that to her because I think it was practical advice, and I'm not going to apologize for it. I was just trying to look out for her, and so did my parents. And if she decided to take a step back from our relationship just because of that, that's on her, not me. Anyway, this was what had happened in the past, and since then, We've not been very close. Now, fast forward to a couple of months ago, I was hanging out with a few friends of mine, and as a joke, we decided to make an account in a dating app for one of my friends, and it was a bit of a joke, so we were not taking it seriously. We just wanted to have fun, but then a few days later, that friend of mine sent me a screenshot of my brother-in-law on the dating app, and when I asked her to swipe right to confirm whether it was an active account, it unfortunately turned out to be a match, so he was actually using it. I literally felt like throwing up, to be very honest, and I immediately contacted my sister about it. We were not close, but I was not going to let her be cheated on, so I told her everything. I even sent her the proof, and I thought that she was going to believe me, but instead she just laughed in my face and told me that I was being very naive because she knew for a fact that her husband was never going to do anything like this. And he was not a guy who would resort to swiping right on 18-year-olds on dating apps at the very least. She claimed that it was probably some fake account, even though it looked pretty legit. And it was even verified, but she was not convinced. And when I tried to talk some sense into her, she just told me to shut up and mind my own business. And it was clear that she was pretty annoyed by me, so I let it go with her. But I was not able to let the whole thing slide with my brother-in-law. So my friend and I directly confronted him on the dating app, and we asked him straight up about what he was doing on the app, because he was obviously a married man, and I knew that for a fact. My friend even directly mentioned that she knew me, she knew my sister, and she knew that he was married to her, so it was insane that he had actually matched with her. We did not think he was going to reply, and we actually expected him to unmatch her, but instead, he did respond to her, and he surprisingly agreed with everything that she had said. He said he knew that he was a married man, but in reality, they had been going through a rough patch in their marriage, and he wasn't actually looking for anything serious. He said that his wife knew all about this, and she didn't have any issue with it, so there was no reason to worry about any of it. We were both so genuinely disgusted that we blocked him immediately, and that was that. I thought about telling my parents about all this, but then I decided against it because this was my sister's thing to share. I didn't want to overstep my boundaries. Besides, I had told her about it, and it was clear that she didn't want to do anything about it, so why would I bother myself anymore? After that, whenever she visited with her husband, I didn't even greet them. I just stayed in my room and went out with my friends, so I wouldn't have to spend any time with them. My parents didn't question it either, and yeah, that was how it was going so far. But then, on the day of my graduation party, things went south, and I basically revealed everything that had been going on. So obviously, my sister and her husband were invited to my graduation party, and they attended as well. They were cordial with me, and I was civil to them. Then, in the middle of the party, my sister decided to make an announcement, and this was a bit of a surprise to me as well, because I really didn't think that her announcement was going to have anything to do with me. And I was right, it wasn't about me. Which in itself is quite problematic, because this was a party that was thrown for me, so I don't understand why she had to go ahead and make it all about herself. But anyway, she made the announcement that she was pregnant. She was 12 weeks along and had been waiting for the right time to make the announcement to the rest of the family. Obviously, people started congratulating her immediately, and I was the only person who held back. Even my parents were very happy, but I was just majorly annoyed because this was supposed to be my party. I was going to be leaving in a couple of weeks, and she could have done this at any point of time, but she chose to make my party all about herself. That, plus everything that had been weighing on me since our past interactions, it just came to the surface and bubbled up, and I couldn't help but have a bit of an outburst because I was just really upset with her. I don't think I would have minded if we had never been close at all, but that's not how it was. We used to be growing up, And then she decided that she didn't want to be close to me anymore and just took a step back, and I guess I never really dealt with it. Besides, she had just not been a good person or a good sister in the last 2 years, and I had already been quite annoyed with her. So the thing at the party was just the last straw. After everybody was done congratulating her, I went up to her and told her straight to her face that I did not appreciate what she had done at all, and thought it was really rude and disrespectful of her to make my party all about herself. And I can understand that pregnancy is a big deal, but the fact is that she could have waited to make this announcement later. She could have thrown her own party instead of doing this at mine, and I really didn't appreciate what she had just done. She was a little dumbstruck when I said that. I guess she didn't expect me to stand up to her. But then she recovered pretty quickly and she started acting all snarky, telling me that the family had gotten together to celebrate something, and she was just trying to add to it so there was no need for me to be so jealous and insecure. Then she went on to start lecturing me about how a baby is God's gift to women. So really, she was just improving the party by giving a bigger and better reason to celebrate than just a plain old graduation. That was not a nice thing to say at all, and I just snapped, and I decided that I couldn't do this anymore. So I told her that I knew exactly what she was up to, and she could fool everybody, even herself, but she couldn't fool me. I told her that I knew for a fact that she was just having this baby in a desperate attempt to keep her marriage intact because she was in denial right now, and she couldn't accept the fact that her husband was looking for other women because he was not happy with her, and she was just pretending that she didn't know what was going on simply because she had nowhere else to go, because she didn't have a job, and she didn't have a degree. She didn't have any money of her own. I told her that she was being pathetic. I told her that it was sad that she was bringing a baby into such a troubled marriage by claiming it to be God's gift and trying to make it seem like everything was normal, when in reality even God couldn't save their marriage because it was just not meant to be. And she was too blind to see it because it was not going to be convenient for her. Then I decided to storm out because I was done talking to her and dealing with all of this, and I just wanted to be on my own for a while. Thankfully, my friends came with me and they comforted me for the rest of the evening while I just stayed away from home. When I finally did come back home, everybody had already left, and the only people who had to remain behind were my sister and obviously my parents. Her husband had gone back home, leaving her behind, and she was totally inconsolable. She was at my throat as soon as I walked into the house, accusing me of humiliating her in front of everyone, telling me that I was jealous of her because she was happy and I was not, saying that I was just insecure because I was not sure if I would ever be able to have the same life as her. And I told her that I never even wanted the life that she had. It didn't seem one that I would aspire to have, so she should really look for a new insult because I'm definitely not jealous or insecure of her, since she doesn't have anything that I would want. That seemed to infuriate her even more. She was quite upset, and the more we argued, the worse it got. It became clear that she only wanted me to apologize to her publicly and say that I had something going on in my personal life and make up something to explain my behavior, and just say that I'd been lying about everything so that nobody would think badly of her or her husband. Apparently, he's also quite upset about the things that I said and is considering cutting our family off altogether, which means that she wouldn't even be able to see her own parents. And this is just a tiny example of how toxic their relationship is. But obviously she doesn't see it. Neither do my parents right now. Everybody seems to think that the solution to this whole problem is for me to just apologize to her and her husband and claim that I was making up everything to make her look bad because I was facing problems in my own life and just move on from the whole thing. But I can't do that. I can't bring myself to do it because I know the truth. I know what I did was the right thing to have done, and maybe it wasn't done in the most correct way, but I don't care about that. I don't care about how inappropriate all of it was. It needed to be said, and I'm glad I said it. And I'm not going to go back on that. The only reason I'm even reconsidering my stance right now is because of my parents, because they have told me that they understand where I'm coming from, and they can totally respect my whole point. But at the end of the day, they can't exactly control other people, and they don't want to lose their relationship with their elder daughter. So that's why they want me to apologize and just get it over with, even if I don't mean it. They have also said that I do actually owe her an apology for real as well, because there was no reason for me to humiliate her like that publicly. I could have dealt with things like that in private, because even after what she had done by making that announcement with my party, it was still not something so big that warranted reaction like that. Anyway, that's what they believe. I personally don't think so, but whatever. But I really want to know whether I am the bad guy here or not, because I really feel like I'm getting totally lost and confused here. So what do you guys think? AITA for insulting and humiliating my sister and exposing the reality about her failing marriage when she tried to turn my graduation party into a pregnancy announcement party for herself? Edit. Hi, so a lot of people are confused on where my parents stand on this whole thing, and whether they have been the kind of people who've always treated one child better than the other or whatever. So let me just explain it. No, they have never been those kinds of people. As far as I'm concerned, my sister and I have always been treated equally. It's just that right now, they don't want to lose my sister, and they know that that's what's inevitably going to happen, because clearly she's under her husband's thumb, and he can get away with anything he wants, and she doesn't stand up to him at all. She's so brainwashed and easy to manipulate that she actually believes this is okay, that there's nothing wrong with the way he's treating her, and my parents actually have a good point. That if they lose contact with her and allow themselves to be cut off, then I'll be pushing my sister into more serious territory, because then there will be nobody to guide her or at least bring her back on the right track. As it is, she doesn't have a lot of friends, but that's not because of the relationship. She's always been the kind of person who has very surface level friendships with people, and I don't think that any of her friends are going to interfere in any of this, so if she even loses contact with her family, then it's going to get pretty bad for her. So with that in mind, they want me to just apologize and get it over with. In that case, I do understand why they want me to say that I'm sorry, even if I don't mean it. But yes, apart from that, they have said that they also do believe that my reaction was a bit over the top. So yeah, it's confusing for me as well, but anyway, I don't think that my parents are the kind of people who have treated my sister like a golden child or anything like that. So they are good on that front, at least, in my opinion. Update 1. Hey, so it's been a couple of days since my original post, and I thought about it long and hard. I've spoken to my friends about it as well, and in the end I came to the conclusion that it would be really wrong for me to apologize for something that I don't feel sorry about. And I really don't. I tried very hard to feel like I might have overreacted. I tried to see the point that my sister might have. I tried to see things from her perspective, and I just can't see how I'm wrong here. The only thing I might agree with is the fact that I might have been a little too dramatic. I definitely did have an outburst. But I think it was a perfectly reasonable response to whatever was going on. I'm not the kind of person who usually uses my age as a defense against anything, but in this scenario, I really would like to say that I'm just 18, and it's totally weird for my sister to be saying that I'm jealous and insecure of her just because I'm not married to the love of my life or whatever. I mean, the implication itself, I don't know. It makes it seem like everybody's goal in life should be to get married and settle down and have a family as soon as possible. And it's not my goal for sure. The only reason I've even stood up against her is I don't think that she's doing the right thing for herself. And if that makes me insecure and jealous simply because I'm not married, and I don't know what to say to her. I think given my age, I've dealt with things as calmly as I could. But I have a lot of things on my plate as well, and I don't know. Everybody has a saturation point. I reached mine that day, and I had an outburst, and that was that. If she didn't like it, maybe she shouldn't have pushed me to that point. But she did. She kept pushing, so naturally, this was going to happen at some point. Maybe if I was older and wiser, I would have kept a hold on my tongue, but I'm not. So I did what I did, and I'm just not sorry. Anyway, this is what a couple of my older friends told me, and even some of the comments said the same. So yeah, whatever. I'm not sorry for what I said. I'm not sorry for how I reacted after being pushed to my limit. Even right now, if she thinks that what I did was wrong, then that's her problem, not mine. The only people that I'm actually concerned about are my parents, because I'm leaving in a couple of weeks and I don't want to make them upset. I really don't like fighting with them. I don't even like arguing with them, but here I feel like I have to stand my ground. They haven't brought it up in the past couple of days, but I know that they are thinking about it and they are waiting for me to bring it up and talk about it. And this evening, I'm going to tell them what my decision is. I'm going to let them know that I'm not willing to apologize. And I know it's going to hurt them, but I think something just has to be said. I'm already dreading it, to be very honest, because I know that they have been quite stressed out about all of this for the past couple of days, ever since the day of the party. And given the fact that my sister is pregnant right now, I'm pretty sure that it's just adding to their stress. I just feel bad because she's a grown woman and she's making all these terrible decisions for herself, and she's trying to make it seem like it's all good, but it's not. And I am just so upset that she can't see it for herself. At the end of the day, all I've ever done in the past couple of years is just try to look out for her. And she's been pushing me away, punishing me for disagreeing with her choices, but I can't help it. I don't think that she's making good choices for herself, and it's just incredibly frustrating that she's so blind to everything. Because I'm sure she's not so stupid. I know my sister. I know she's always had a soft spot for guys she likes, and even in the past I've noticed her getting totally caught up in her relationships to the extent where she has neglected her family and friends. But this is going to a level where it's just going to blow up in her face in the worst possible way, and then I'm afraid to think where she's going to stand. It's just sad to think that she's bringing a baby into this with the hopes that it might fix things. That's even worse. But whatever. I just hope she can see what's good for herself and extricate herself from the situation. Update 2. So it's been a couple of days since my last date, and I spoke to my parents. I told them about my decision of not apologizing to my sister, and initially they were quite disappointed with it. But they did not scold me or anything. They didn't demand anything of me. They just told me that it would have been better if I had apologized and put this whole situation behind me. But at the end of the day, I'm also an adult now, and they trust my judgment. I'm not going to lie, things were a bit awkward and difficult for the past few days. But then yesterday in the evening, my dad came up to my room and he told me he didn't want to spend the last few weeks of having me at home before I left for college having such an awkward, strained relationship. So he told me he and my mom wanted me to come along for dinner with them so we could spend some proper time together as a family. And I agreed. We went out for dinner, and in the beginning, things were a bit slow, but soon enough, we went back to normal. Of course, it still stings that my sister hasn't reached out to us yet. And I guess it's going to sting for a while because it gets better, but whatever. We did whatever we could, and now it's up to her whether she wants to stay in touch with her family or not. I think my parents and I have done all that we possibly could. Now it's up to her. Update 3. So it's been 1.5 years since my previous update, and things with my parents have gone back to normal. They pretty much went back to normal after that dinner we had. We sorted everything out, and then I left for college, and I've been back home a couple of times, and things have been good. Obviously, we still do feel a bit iffy about everything that went wrong with us and my sister, but a couple of days back I found out from my parents that she had come back home. Just as I had expected, having a baby did not magically solve all her problems, and apparently, while she had been able to somehow put up with his non-stop cheating and dating app addiction during her pregnancy, hoping that it would end after the baby was born, it didn't, and now she's done with them. She had been forcing herself to ignore the fact that he was getting involved with other women while she was pregnant. But a couple of days ago, when she came back home to find him on the couch with another girl, she couldn't take it anymore, and she walked out on him. So long story short, she finally remembered that she should have some self-respect, and now they're getting a divorce. Obviously, she's going to be getting alimony and child support. My dad's friend is a divorce attorney. He's going to make sure of that. And in the meantime, she's going to be staying with our parents. She's going to be healing from everything that's happened, and my parents are going to be helping her out with my niece. So the next time I go back home, which is going to be this weekend, I'm going to meet my niece for the first time, and I'm actually pretty excited. My sister wrote to me as well. She sent me an email last evening telling me that she was sorry about everything and I was right, and she had just been too blind to see the truth. She told me that she hopes that we can fix things when I visit home next time. And I know that we will. We're definitely going to try. I'm obviously upset that things had to come to this, but I'm glad she made the right choice for herself. She's going to start working and try to support herself, and until then, we are all here for her. At the end of the day, she is family, and that's what families do. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.